Hi, this is DL with episode 6 of Awareness of Thinking. Now today we're going to talk about all the different kinds of propaganda. Once again, I considered including relevant examples in this part of the video, in this section, but at the risk of triggering egos is a bit too great. I've decided to leave the example seeking to you. So once you know what the types of propaganda are, maybe pick one, pick two, the ones that seem relevant, and seek them throughout your week. And again, I want to point out that it's always, it's easy to see propaganda coming from points of view that you don't share. Try to see for yourself examples that might be propaganda that are from your own point of view. So I don't want to focus on all the kinds of propaganda that are out there. Rather, I'm focusing on the ones that I feel are the most destructive to sense-making in our current age. And let's take a look at those. So the first, ad nauseum. This is the insertion of phrases and narratives into the psyche so as to make them common, pervasive, and often unquestioned. So just think about how one hears and sees phrases over and over again in news and media channels and how people start using those phrases. Just look at that. Get curious. Association. Associating a positive or a negative idea with another positive or negative idea for the desired result. Bandwagon. So this is an appeal to our need for inclusion. Really relates back to the bias of in-group and herd mentality. So if everyone else is doing it, buying it, being it, believing it, then don't be the fool who's left out. Okay, so black and white. This is the presentation of only two sides to a story when one is made out to be completely unacceptable. Now, I'm not going to get, again, I don't want to get, it's so tempting to go into examples that I see that are relevant to today, but I just don't want to go there, so I'm not going to. Now, the thing with black and white is that there often can be more than just two sides. In fact, there can be a multitude of possibilities, but only two are presented. It's card stacking. This is the clever omission of relevant facts to make something appear better or worse than it really is, a favorite of corporations and politicians. So card stacking is like the omission bias, leaving things out. What was it? Attentional bias. So this is them using attentional bias against us. Deflection, the technique of distracting from or avoiding legitimate issues by pointing to another. Look over there. Okay, so it's that kind of thing. Not answering the questions that are asked, that sort of thing. Degrees of acceptance. So intentionally going too far with a proposal in order to garner support for a manufactured compromise, or desensitization by way of careful, incremental enforcement of increasingly extreme positions. Now, if you can't find examples of this out in the world today, you are blind. That's all I'm going to say. Dehumanization. This is the denigration of an opponent or enemy in order to eliminate opposition to inhumane, exploitive, and immoral behavior towards them. Disinformation. Boy, don't we hear this every day. Creating and perpetuating false evidence via news, records, or studies, etc., in order to confuse or push certain narratives. False choice. This is a lot like black and white. Proposition of an either or choice where there are in fact many options possible, thus limiting true freedom to choose. Okay, the propaganda of fear. Here's another one we see all the time everywhere. The subtle overarching aspect in all forms of manipulation, but also used in more overt ways to drive behavior and belief. Fear of loss, fear of disease, fear of humiliation, fear of being alone, fear of worthlessness. All of those things can play you. Name calling. Smear campaigns that includes the use of triggering labels and descriptors such as anti in order to establish a negative opinion of a person or a cause. Obfuscation. You hear this one a lot too. It's the use of vague, complicated, or confusing language or an ambiguous communication style to confound the opposition. Just make it so complicated nobody can possibly understand it. Plain folk. This is an appeal to the average Joe or Josephine that shows ordinary hardworking people just like you buy it, use it, believe it, do it. Reductio ad Hitlerum. This is the persuasion to conform. In other words, you want people to do what you want them to do by ascribing any alternative stance of behavior to an undesirable group. So in other words, you don't want to do this because they do that, and we don't like them. Stereotype. This is when appeals are made to a group based on how everyone in that group is expected to behave. So real men do this, good leaders do this, upright citizens do this, popular women do this. It's that kind of thing. Strawman. So this is attacking an opponent by oversimplifying, twisting, or misrepresenting his or her or their ideas or positions. So rather than talk about the issue, it becomes about the person. Really common. Testimonial. This is the use of celebrities and or experts, the likes of political pundits, talking heads, scientists, sports heroes, or movie stars to sway public opinion. Virtue. Propaganda using the association of virtues and values with a stance, cause, or behavior to garner support for our compliance with it. In other words, if we are good people, if we are morally upright people, if we value freedom and family and whatever else, then this is the behavior to follow, we are told. Okay, so those are the types of propaganda that I'm focusing on just in this series. Like I said in the beginning, just pick a few that interest you or that you, maybe aren't so obvious and that you want to try to understand more deeply, and look for examples. Talk about it with someone, Again, I realize I didn't go into these deeply. We're not having a discussion about them. Not here anyway. And maybe in some future format we can do that. But for right now, my purpose is really just to get you to introduce you to these things and to get you to think about them and how they might be impacting your sense making. So in the next video, we are going to be talking about crazy making, what it is, and how it's affecting us as a society. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's been helpful, and please do like and subscribe to this page. Hit the notification bell so you know when I drop the next video, and please feel free to comment and say hello. Thanks for joining me today.